Hey everyone, Alistair Kerr back here with another Leading Flourishing Schools Spotlight. Want to welcome back our guest panel today, Heidi and Pete. Guys, welcome. And before we get into today's episode, we just want to do a quick round room barometer check-in. So I'm keen. Heidi, how about yourself?
Inspired.
Pete?
Yeah, I'm focused.
All right, love it. So today we're looking at the platinum rule, above the line, below the line. So let's get into our topic. We know there are a lot of things that flourishing schools do in this space. But before we get into today's tool, which is above the line, below the line, Heidi, can you just give us a quick recap of how we got to here from last episode?
Yeah, so last episode we were talking about our communication preferences and which colour we might sit in. So for me, I'm red green, and I know that you two boys are both blue yellow, which is mind blowing for me. So we just learned about our team profile and what communication preferences we have.
Lovely, lovely. And team profile is a great way to capture all that stuff so we don't have to remember it and keep it top of mind all the time. It captures our top two colors and as well a few other bits and pieces about ourselves. So getting into the focus for today, of course, we're moving on to our above the line, below the line. And there are three steps here to just get this right in our teams, our individual risk, our team risk, and then combining this all up into a team profile. Getting into the first bit, Pete, do you want to just remind us about this whole thing about individual risks and why this is important for us in a high performing team?
Yeah, thank you, Al. And if people missed our first video, the idea here is that there are four, I guess, volume dials, if you like, of different ways we communicate. So we're not one or the other exclusively. Concept, action, relational detail. This stems from Carl Jung's work. And as Heidi already said, the idea here is most of us on the planet operate on this idea of top two. So out of those four, two of them are the most. Moving from there into above and below the line, once we know what our strengths are in this model, well, it's a game of shadows and light because for everything that's a strength, there's a corresponding weakness when we're under the pump. And so, Al, you had it on the screen just then, it was beautiful. And that was to get people to think about whatever they're highest on, how does that go wrong for them? So, yeah, Heidi's already foreshadowed it where she's got that red-green top two and you and I have that yellow-blue top two. And so the first step in this sequence of above and below the line is for everyone in their teams to just have a chat about who they are as individuals. You can see on the screen now, what do I need to do less of and more of when I'm stressed? So if we pick on me first, what I need to do more of when I'm stressed is I need to be way more organized and I need to do more connecting the dots with my words, not jumping around, because that's what happens for us yellows when we're stressed. And the other thing I really need to do more of is be really present and slow. And I need to do less rushing and directing people because that can border on inappropriate, not because I mean it that way, but because that blue bit when I'm just under the pump.
Yeah, hey Pete, I feel you. I feel you. And for me, we're kind of a similar profile. So for me, do more of. I have to do more slowing down when I'm tired, stressed, and under pressure, and do less of. I probably need to do a bit less speaking and a bit more listening. Heidi, how about yourself?
Yeah, interesting. Mine's almost the complete opposite to both of you. I need to be more assertive and speak up a little bit more, and certainly do less of excessive worrying and taking things personally.
Thank you. Hey, let's move on now. And we want to jump over into this idea of team risk because it's great that we zero in on our own individual risk, but we want to start to pull that together. Heidi, can you tell us what this is all about and how we can do this well?
Yeah, so developing our team chart for above and below the line behaviors is super important if we want to really be a high performing team. So making sure that we think about what are our individual risks from our team profile so that we can create a chart that works for all of us.
Yeah, and Pete, we've got a really interesting example on the screen here. How do you think this would play out for real?
Yeah, look, this is actually pretty common in
Mm,
education, to be honest. You've got a lot of people who in the team and the example who have that red, the Heidi strength going on in
mm.
that, and not many of the Pete and Al's in this team. And so once they've done step one, step two is about having a collective conversation to say, okay, where have we got the most of that communication energy going on and the least? And just like Heidi said, from that perspective, because we're differentiating, we're customizing to the team.
Mm.
From that perspective, we can almost rank order what are the most important things as we get into step three onto our chart. And in this case, we really need, as Heidi said in this example, to make sure there's lots of those above the line red behaviors.
Mm.
And also, we've articulated what the below the line red behaviors are, as well as any other things the team finds important.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. It can be a really fruitful conversation, this idea of what are our team gaps and what are our team strengths. So we want to move it on then and get into this idea of our team chart. So again, Heidi, can you just let us know how do we bring this together?
Yeah, so if we're looking at some real examples, one of the things that we can do as a team is to consider what might be five above the line behaviors that we can include in our team chart, and what are maybe five below the line behaviors that we might include.
Yeah, and I love that idea of firstly starting with the example. So putting some stuff up there that's a bit of food for thought, but then really going back to the team and going, okay, guys, so what of this is real for us? We can either pick from the examples or we can come up with some of those ones that are a lot more meaningful for us when we talked about our gaps and our risks as a team. And once we do that, of course, it's just as easy as writing that all up and we're done. And of course, we don't just kind of let this set and forget. We want to review this pretty regularly, once every at least 6 to 12 months. And I also find it's really useful to review when we bring new members of the team in. Basically, we can onboard them really quickly, but we can also pause and go, well, hey, this is what we said before. Is this still us now? Does this still fit for purpose? All right, so we're going to get ourselves now out of our toolkit and we want to head over and have a look at a really great example and see this stuff come to life in practice. Pete, today you want to share some really cool stuff that's happening over at Mackay West State School. What's going on over there?
Yeah, well, a big shout out to Paul Manton and the wider leadership team there, Sammy Strang, everybody. What a great school in Mackay West, Gladstone, Australia. They take this stuff really seriously, and they need to, of course, because education is stressful. Teaching and learning is stressful. You can see on the screen now that shot where all of the staff get together during that 60-minute general staff meeting. Every now and then they repurpose that for some team development, and they're in their teams and they've got the butcher's paper out, and they're having the chat, just like we've gone through in this short video. A bunch of individuals coming together as a collective. Then are we higher on these or those? And depending on where we're at, what is our chart look like? And of course, the little shot of their team data wall, their ways of working represented in one glance. Again, great work here. Really exemplary best practice. Shout out to Mackay West.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Pete. And again, it looks like there's a bit of a buzz going in the room. And you mentioned there the teams doing it individually, but we can take that even a step further and start to bundle this up and get a whole school version of our above the line, below the line, which is really kind of the holy grail. Can you talk us through what that's all about?
Absolutely. And sometimes we've got to go back a step in order to go forwards,
Mm.
if I can say it that way. And a lot of principals are tearing their hair out, so to speak, about wanting all the staff to kind of common sense or respectful behavior, like a code of conduct idea. And so if you jump ahead and try to go whole school first with this thing, it may not be sticky. It might not be tied back to the team and then all the way back to the individual. But once you follow the steps in this video and you've had the individual reflections about their strengths, then you've had the team see as collectives, you're in the perfect position in the second cycle of this, so 6 to 12 months later, to say, okay, all our different teams, all our different staff, we have these team charts. Let's do an exercise now where we bring all the team charts through and let's consolidate and take a whole school view. And because they've co-constructed the journey, it's deeply authentic. So it's pretty straightforward as you got on the screen there. You're just asking the teams to say, what are the one or two, three things that from our chart we would suggest should be on the whole school's chart? The sticky notes above, below, it all gets on there just like that. And then it's consolidated down. And if we jump forward, you'll see again, shout out to Mackay West State School. They've now completed this process as a whole school and simplified it and made doing the right behaviors so easy and created a safe way to kind of help people correct when they slip into that below the line without any loss of capacity, without any loss of focus or energy, so they can continue to focus entirely on their students.
Yeah, love it, love it. Simple is always best. Alrighty, guys, we're nearly ready to get out of here, but we want to get into the wall of wisdom before we do. Heidi, today we're digging back into volume one. Who are we going to hear from?
Yeah, we're going to talk about an amazing, inspiring leader in the Southeast region in Queensland, Sam Donovan. So, Sam Donovan was principal at Norfolk Village State School for quite a while, and as part of her work there, she was deeply embedding the HPT systems and processes. What Sam did exceptionally well was work with her teams to create these above and below the line charts. And what Sam talks about is how that actually set the foundational context for those safe staff conversations. If you'd like to hear more about Sam's amazing work, have a look at our volume one of Leadership Shares.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great stuff in her article there. So highly recommend everyone goes and checks that out. Alrighty, guys. Hey, we're going to start to bring things together for today. But as we do, Pete, any final words to just get us out of here and wrap us up?
Yeah, look, it's kind of like an obvious one. It's almost a bridge to the next episode.
Mm.
We need to nip things in the bud and make sure the focus is on students, but we're all humans coming at this differently. So above and below the line is crucial to provide some structure around identifying above and below the line, but then it leads to a much easier way to not let things fester, to not let niggles build up, and keep the air clear as in our teams, and in doing so, make it easier and easier to be the best teachers we can be.
Love it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for a brilliant episode. We're going to leave it there for today. See you all next time.